Hi folks, Andy C here from Chappell Natural Bodybuilding on Facebook. So today I want to talk a little bit about competitive bodybuilding and what competitive bodybuilding is and what competitive bodybuilding is not. And the reason I want to talk about this is because I've heard a lot of people recently discussing ideas around lifestyle and balance and how it relates to competitive bodybuilding. So first things first, what even is bodybuilding and what is competitive bodybuilding? So if we look at the competitive element for a start, okay, so we can just, is bodybuilding a sport, it's not a sport, doesn't really matter, okay? But when we think about a competitive element of everything, we have to realize that there are winners, there are losers, there's going to be egos, there's going to be people that do things a little bit underhanded, there are going to be people doing tactics, and there are going to be people that put in a little bit more effort, less effort, etc., because competition and winning is more important to them. And there are people perhaps doing things from a sort of perspective of, okay, well, I'm not as competitive, so I'm just going to do it for the enjoyment of the sport, and whatever result I get, I just kind of get, but I'm going to be happy with it. The other sort of side of things we have to look at is bodybuilding. Well, what is bodybuilding? Well, bodybuilding is the sort of pursuit of increasing muscular size and reducing sort of body fat levels for the sake of sort of self-improvement, self-discipline, and so on from there. However, when we add competitive bodybuilding, then we're sort of moving into the realms of, okay, an extreme sport. So if you look at the Mr. Olympia that we had last weekend there's no doubt about it that is an extreme sport. These people are extremely muscular, huge amounts of muscle that is unlikely ever to occur naturally within nature, certainly without the chemical enhancement, they would never ever be there. And they're extremely low body fat levels as well. Again, something that you're just not going to occur in nature. Now, when we take the drug side into account, then these people are also abusing their bodies to a great degree with pharmaceutical interventions. And as we know recently, several bodybuilders, famous ones, have passed, and so have many in the past. And it is an extreme sport. When we remove the drugs and we look at the top end of natural bodybuilding, it's still an extreme sport. People have extremely low body fat levels and they are extremely muscular, okay? And with any extreme sport, especially when you've got this competitive element within it, people are going to be doing things or willing to put in more effort than their competition or trying to be more disciplined or whatever than their competition so that they can win these activities. They're going to be extremely motivated to get themselves in shape. Again, with any extreme activity, you have to realize that it's not necessarily going to be conducive towards balance in a lifestyle. It's not necessarily going to be healthy. And there might even be some sort of element of danger associated with it as well, hence the extreme element of it, okay? So we have to bear all that in mind when we're sort of talking about, okay, well, what is competitive bodybuilding, okay? You can't approach competitive bodybuilding with the same mentality as you approach bodybuilding. You can't approach competitive bodybuilding if you're someone out there who's perhaps a fitness instructor or fitness enthusiast or anything less, with the same mentality as you approach doing things like fun runs, Tough Mudders, marathons, etc., okay? Because it's a completely different pursuit. When you're getting ready for these bodybuilding competitions, you have to approach this like an actual athlete. You have to think, okay, this is going to take me 12, 8, 20 weeks to get in shape for this sort of competition. And you have to approach it like some sort of boxer in a training camp, getting ready for this, putting in the hours so that you can be ready for the competition when it comes in the day. Because if you don't, then you're going to be like people in the fun run who are finishing at the back of the race rather than the actual athletes that are finishing at the front of the race. And if you're a competitive person, then you're not going to be too happy when you're at the back of the race because you've not put the work in to be as good as the people at the front of the race. So guess what I'm trying to say here is you need to come into bodybuilding with your eyes open, okay? It's going to be extreme. It's going to be very tough. It's going to be physically and mentally taxing on your body. Getting in shape for a contest, you're going to have to get yourself down to extremely low body fat levels. Okay, we're talking 3 and 4%. If you want to be competitive, you may be a little bit competitive, a little bit higher, but you need to get down to those low levels. You need to have a lot of muscle on your frame. That means you're going to have to diet for a long period of time. You're going to have to do a lot of physical activity to get yourself in shape. You're going to be hungry. There's times you're going to be having meals, and when you finish the meal, you're not going to be full up. You're going to have low body fat levels. You're going to feel cold. At the same time, you're going to have to exercise and train in a calorie deficit while you're hungry, while you're training. And that's going to suck. Your lifts are going to go down. You're not going to be able to have as much energy. You'll maybe not even enjoy it as much. You may have niggles. You may have injuries. You may have colds. You're going to have to train through all of this. You're going to have to make time to get your meals in. You're going to have to make time to get your training in. And life's going to probably have to revolve around that a little bit. At the same time, otherwise, you're not going to get to where you need to be. Now, there are levels of competition. I'm getting ready for a competition just now. It's taken me 19, 20 weeks to get to where I'm at just now. And I'm looking pretty good shape. I'm pretty happy with how I look. I could have got in shape for this contest in, say, 8 weeks or 10 weeks. And really, 8, 10 weeks into that for me, it's not that difficult. I can manage it. I'm well trained at doing it. I do it all the time. This dieting, I've been doing it more or less my whole adult life. I could have had cheat meals in there. I could have easily done some sort of if it fits your macros approach to get in there. I could have missed training sessions here and there. However, I wouldn't have been as in good shape as I am just now. I wouldn't be as competitive as I am just now. And I could probably mix it all right in maybe a novice or a mister's class at a regional level. However, I need to be better than that. I need to be going beyond that. Likewise, I could have probably at 8 or 10 weeks stepped into one of these shorts classes and been just as competitive as well, okay? So there are levels that we have to consider. And if you want to compete in bodybuilding, competitive bodybuilding, and you want to do well, then there's going to be an element of sacrifice associated with that. I would almost liken it to some sort of quasi-religious experience whereby you make the sacrifices, you're doing your fasting, and at the end of it, you've got this great achievement whereby you've got yourself in shape, you've achieved this goal mentally, and you've proven to yourself that you can do something, okay? So just come into this with your eyes open, okay? That's all I'm trying to say here. I'm not saying you shouldn't have balance in your life, or you shouldn't have healthy relationships, or you shouldn't allow bodybuilding to take over and everything like that. Just come into this and be aware that what you're letting yourself in for. And if you do a competition and you find, okay, you didn't enjoy it and it was tough and you didn't like the strain or anything like that it had on your relationships and things like that, then that's fine. Bodybuilding is not for everyone, and I completely get that and I understand, okay? But don't come out of it and say things like, okay, bodybuilding as a sport, for example, so it's about balance and things like that to me, and I didn't like the strain it was having on my relationships and so on. When the reality is you didn't do as well as you would have liked, and you're just using that as a smokescreen to sort of not hurt your ego because you didn't do as well as you would have liked to think. Or don't say all that sort of stuff and say, okay, well, this is, you can diet and everything like that, and you can have your cheats and you can do all this sort of stuff and not train as hard, or you can maybe, I don't know, go out for the weekend with your families, or you can even drink a beer and stuff like that. But then come 5th and 6th place and say, okay, this is the way you need to do it. No, because then you were not competitive. You were not as good an athlete as you could have been. And you cannot tell other bodybuilders that this is the way you need to get yourself in shape, because it's not successful. So that's all I'm trying to say here, okay? Now, if you suffer from, say, high accounts of something like trait neuroticism, and you can do personality tests. So if you look at something like the Big 5 personality inventory, it sort of gives you an idea, okay, where you sort of sit on these sort of scales. And then you're probably not ideally suited for things like bodybuilding activities. You're going to be down on yourself. You're going to be hating on yourself all the sort of time, okay? So there's a big element of mentality that's going to be associated with bodybuilding. And if you're the sort of person that's going to be hating it all the way through, and you think that, okay, I hate this, I don't enjoy it or anything like that, then just don't do it, okay? However, if you go and do your bodybuilding show and you've got this sort of positive mentality throughout, and you're like, okay, well, I'm enjoying this. This is something that I'm doing for my own fulfillment and so on. And if someone offers me cakes and biscuits and things like that, then I'm not going to snap at them. I'm just going to deny that and say, okay, well, thanks very much. I've got to go. I'm going to go with this. However, you get upset and angry about the world and you're like, okay, oh, I can't believe people offer me cakes and sweets and stuff like that, and you snap at them. Okay, that's not a healthy mentality to have when you're doing these things. And you're going to suffer if you want to suffer when you do these competitions. So just come into this with your eyes open. It's an extreme sport. It's always been an extreme sport. There's this sort of myth that's continually perpetuated that somehow bodybuilding is a healthy lifestyle balance thing and it's a great idea and that we should be getting ready for these competitions and it's not going to be that tough or anything like that. This is just perpetuated by Facebook. You'll never sort of see the sort of glamorous side of things in bodybuilding where you see the photo shoots. You never see what goes on behind the scenes where people are really struggling through on their diets and everything like that throughout. Okay, so bodybuilding is tough. Come into it with your eyes open. Be aware of what you're letting yourself in for. Be aware that it's not going to be a cakewalk. It's not going to be easy. And if you can come into it with that sort of mentality, then at least you know what you're letting yourself in for, okay? At least you know what's expected, and at least you know what it's not going to be. Okay, so I guess that's all I've got to say about this sort of subject today. If you've got any comments or anything like that, then leave them down below and we'll try and get a discussion going around this, and perhaps you can leave some of your bodybuilding experiences and what you think about bodybuilding and so on from there, okay? So thanks very much for your attention.